Hello, my friend. Welcome to your sleep story. My name is Stephen Dalton. I'm an Irish storyteller, and it's my great privilege to be the voice that you listen to as you go to sleep tonight. Tonight I will tell you a story about a very unassuming man, a man who works in a plant shop. Some know him as Walter, but a very few know him as the Wizard of Sleep. I hope you like the story. If you want the video to end at a particular point, YouTube allows you to add a timer in the settings, and don't forget to disable autoplay to avoid ads from upcoming videos. Okay. Let's do the relaxation session now, which will take a few minutes before tonight's sleep story. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and as I do, allow yourself to let go more and more. 10. Feel the support beneath you. Whether it be the bed or the floor or simply the earth. Feel the constantness of the earth supporting you. It's always there. And see if you can let go a little bit more now. Just relax, soften a little bit more. Allow the fact of that support to enable you to let go. 9. You are safe. Know that my voice will only take you to safe places. Allow my voice to be an anchor of safety tonight. A voice that will only bring coziness and warmth and kind, inviting places for you to visit as you move closer to sleep. 8. Feel into your body now. Notice anything, whether you're still holding, whether there's any tension or pain. And wherever you might still be holding, see if you can let go a little more now. Maybe you're holding in your feet, maybe in your hands, maybe in your face, maybe in your belly. Your body has worked hard for you today. Allow it to rest now. 7. The day is done. Whatever has been, has been. Whatever will be, will be. any thoughts or any dwelling on what has gone today doesn't serve you now. Don't blame yourself for having the thoughts. It's part of being human. And whatever thoughts you may have about what is to come, they don't serve you either right now. So just see the thoughts and allow them to float away like leaves on a river or clouds in a starry sky. Six, you deserve rest. You deserve sleep. We all do. So allow that fact to let you sink a little deeper and know that you are deserving of this moment. 5. See if you can feel the peace that lives within you now. There is always peace within you. It is a part of you, as much a part of you as your heart and soul and mind. Peace is there to be found. It sits quietly, unassumingly, humbly, waiting for you to feel it. So feel that peace within you now. 4. You have nowhere to be, nowhere to go. This is your time. Enjoy that fact. Enjoy the coziness of this moment. You don't have to see anyone. You can just sink into this moment that is all yours. 3. Begin to engage with your imagination now. Begin to see a rainy little village on a cozy autumn evening. And notice if you can see a little plant shop. For this is where our story is set tonight. 2. Tune into your body one more time. And if you're holding anywhere still, just ease that tension. Release. 1. Completely letting go now. as I tell you tonight's sleep story. In a little village where it nearly always rains, just around the corner from the Bookshop of Sleep, sits a splendid little plant shop. I say little. It's actually amazingly enormous, but only once you get to know it. You see, it looks completely tiny from the outside and incredibly unassuming. It has a little sign above the door that reads Plants. It has a little wooden door and a little window display, and it is definitely in need of a paint job. And if you or I were to visit this little plant shop, it would probably, no, definitely, take us a number of visits to realize just what this little unassuming shop in this little unassuming village was home to. So, allow me to tell you that this plant shop is home to someone and something quite extraordinary. Some call him Walter, but others, and by others, I mean only very few people in all of history, call him the Wizard of Sleep. So, now that you know a little background, why don't we go and visit Walter? Walter is watering the plants. It's evening time on a cozy, rainy autumn evening, and Walter is doing what he loves. He moves from plant to plant. The shop is dimly lit, and he feels so present and at one with his plants. It's like they are his friends. It's like he knows each and every one of them. He has a history with these plants. Some of them he has known all their lives, since they were seeds, and some of them offer him more than friendship. For Walter is the one who, over many years, some say centuries, created the elixirs of sleep. I say elixirs and not elixir, because there are more than one. One elixir helps one kind of person, and another helps another kind of person. You'll see what I mean as the story progresses. This shop is a cozy place, filled to the brim with pots and plants of every kind. The dim lighting casts gentle shadows, making the greens of the leaves seem deeper, more alive. Around Walter, the shop unfolds in a series of small rooms, each one a secret garden waiting to be discovered. Here, a cluster of lavender plants exudes a calm scent. There, a group of chamomile flowers nestles together, their white petals closed in sleep, as if dreaming. Then there are the bigger plants, like the Swiss cheese plant, and the various beautiful palms that create almost a tropical feel. But the heart of Walter's world, the source of the fabled elixirs of sleep, lies hidden beyond a plain wooden door at the back of the shop. Only those who know what to ask for can enter this place. Inside, rare plants, Walter's closest kept secrets, thrive under Walter's care. A night-blooming jasmine releases its sweet fragrance into the air. Beside it, an ancient valerian plant stretches its roots into the soil, and along the walls, hops vines climb, their flowers ready to be harvested and brewed into one of the elixirs. Now, Walter, with a flask in hand, prepares to gather the essence of these plants. But before he does, he just stands in his little shop and closes his eyes and breathes in this moment, breathing in the scents of the shop around him, and breathing out any unwanted tension. Walter loves this place. He appreciates every moment spent here. The process of collecting the essence is a quiet ritual, a kind of dance of appreciation between the wizard and his botanical charges. Each step, from the gentle plucking of the flower to the careful distillation of its essence, is performed with a reverence that turns the mundane into the magical. As he works, surrounded by the plants he loves, Walter feels a contentment that only comes from knowing he's about to add a bit of magic into the world. Tonight, as he does on every night, he will craft his elixir in readiness for the next person who might come and seek his wisdom. And funnily enough, just as he's thinking that it's been a while since he's had a visitor, the little bell above the shop door tinkles, announcing the arrival of one such visitor. Walter looks up from his work, a mixture of surprise and curiosity lighting up his face. The door creaks open to reveal a small old woman, her coat drenched from the rain, a woolen scarf wrapped tightly around her neck. In her eyes, there's a look of determination, or perhaps tiredness, that speaks of someone in need of sleep. She moves slowly around the shop, her gaze lingering on the greenery that fills every nook and cranny. Each plant she passes seems to lean towards her, as if offering comfort. After a few moments of silent wandering, she approaches Walter. Her voice, when she speaks, is soft but clear, carrying through the quiet shop. "I've come for the elixir," she says, the words hanging in the air between them, like a secret long forgotten. Walter's surprise is palpable. Many years have passed since anyone last came seeking one of the elixirs of sleep. He studies the old woman for a moment, taking in her stooped shoulders and the tired lines etching her face. "How did you hear about my elixirs?" he asks, his tone a mix of curiosity and caution. She smiles, a faint, wistful thing that doesn't quite reach her weary eyes. "My grandmother told me when I was but a girl. She said there was a wizard in a plant shop who could brew sleep in a bottle. I didn't believe her until now. Until her voice trails off, but there's no need for her to finish. Walter understands all too well the toll of her tiredness. Nodding slowly, he gestures for her to follow him. Then you have indeed come to the right place, he says, leading her towards the back of the shop. The wooden door, plain and unassuming, stands before them. As they approach, Walter can't help but feel a stirring of something long dormant. Anticipation, perhaps, or the simple joy of sharing his gift. The old woman's presence, her belief in the stories of her grandmother, bridges the gap between past and present, reminding Walter of the deep, enduring power of his elixirs. He pushes the door open, revealing the room beyond. This space is cozy, intimate, lit by the soft glow of lanterns hanging from the low ceiling. The walls are lined with shelves, each one filled with jars and bottles of varying shapes and sizes. The air is so soothing in this room. The old lady feels instant calm being here. She tells Walter that her little dog has been barking a lot lately, and so she hasn't been sleeping. Walter nods with kind understanding. It feels like these two are friends who have never met, and she feels very welcome and safe in the wizard's plant shop. In the center of the room stands a small wooden table, its surface worn smooth by years of use. Beside it, a pair of comfortable chairs invite them to sit, to share in the ritual of the elixir's preparation. Walter guides the woman to one of the chairs, offering her a seat with a kind smile. As she settles in, her eyes roam the room, taking in the details. The way the lantern light flickers against the glass jars, the gentle sound of the rain tapping outside, and the warmth of the room, which adds to the coziness. Walter moves to a small cabinet, opening its doors to reveal an array of ingredients, each one integral to creating this particular elixir of sleep. With practiced hands, he selects what he needs, bringing them to the table where a small, delicate bottle awaits. He works silently, but with a sense of reverence for the task at hand, mixing, grinding, and pouring with a precision born of decades of experience. The old woman watches, mesmerized by the wizard's meticulous process. There's a magic here, not just in the creation of her elixir, but in the care with which Walter handles each component, the respect he shows for the ingredients and the process alike. Finally, Walter holds up the bottle, now filled with a liquid that will help the old lady in ways she could never imagine. He passes it to the woman, his eyes meeting hers. "Take this," he says, "and may it bring you the peace you seek. Give a little bit to the little dog as well. It won't do him any harm." The woman accepts the bottle, her hands trembling slightly, with a mix of anticipation and gratitude. "Thank you," she whispers, the words barely audible, but heavy with meaning. She bids good night to Walter and leaves the little plant shop. Some time later, on another rainy night, the bell above the door chimes softly as a new visitor steps into Walter's plant shop. This time, it's a young man, his clothes splattered with paint, his eyes alight with a creative fire. He moves through the plant shop, his gaze darting around, taking in the lush greenery that fills the space. There's an intensity to him, the kind that comes from nights spent chasing the elusive perfection of art, from hours lost in the flow of creation. He approaches Walter, who has looked up from his work, always ready to welcome another soul into his haven. "I've heard you're some kind of a wizard of sleep," I need something to keep me awake, the young artist says. The night is when I come alive, when my best work comes to life. But my body, it craves sleep, and I can't afford to lose the inspiration when it strikes. Walter the wizard studies him for a moment, seeing not just the artist before him, but the countless others who have sought to push beyond their natural limits for the sake of their passion. You seek to bend the night to your will, Walter muses, a hint of a smile playing at his lips. But perhaps what you need is not to ward off sleep, but to find a balance that lets your creativity flourish without burning out your spirit. The artist looks skeptical, but there's a part of him, perhaps the part worn down by restless nights, that is willing to listen. Walter gestures for him to follow, leading him deeper into the shop, past the familiar greenery, and into the heart of his mystical world. They step into the cozy room at the back, the same room where the old woman found her elixir of sleep. But this time, Walter heads to a different set of shelves, his finger trailing over the jars and bottles until they settle on a particular one. This, he says, holding out a small vial filled with a liquid that seems to pulse with a light of its own. This is not to keep you awake, but to help you harness the power of your dreams. Drink this before you rest, and let your mind wander the landscapes of your imagination. You may find that the visions you see in your sleep fuel your artistry more than any forced wakefulness could. The young artist takes the vial, curiosity overcoming his initial resistance. There's a part of him, a part that believes in the magic of creation, that wonders if perhaps this wizard of sleep holds the key to unlocking new depths in his heart. Thank you, he says, his voice carrying a new note of hope. As he turns to leave, vial in hand, he feels a lightness that he hasn't known in a long while. Perhaps tonight he will discover the true source of his creativity, nestled within the dreams that await him. On another night, on yet another rainy evening, the door to Walter's plant shop opens to admit a new visitor. She is what seems to be a businesswoman. Her sharp attire and brisk manner marking her as someone more accustomed to the boardroom than a quaint plant shop. Even as she steps inside, her eyes remain glued to the screen of her phone, fingers swiping incessantly. Walter observes her from his place among the plants, noting the way that she barely glances at the greenery surrounding her. Her attention is captured entirely by the digital world in her hands. It's a scene he's become all too familiar with. The modern malady of constant connection. The woman seems reluctant to speak, but then approaches Walter. "I was told to come here. They said you could help me." She seems lost and in need of healing. Walter approaches, his demeanor calm. He knows that he can help her. The need for rest is something we all share. Even those who think sometimes that they've risen above such earthly concerns. The mind, like the body, needs time to recover, to dream, to wander paths not found on any screen, Walter tells her. The woman briefly looks at Walter. There's a flicker of something. Exhaustion, perhaps, or the faintest glimmer of recognition that his words hold truth. With a motion for her to follow, he leads her towards the back of the shop, to the room that has seen the beginnings of many journeys towards rest and rejuvenation. The woman sits down, still occasionally glancing at her phone, but the cozy room seems to soften her, and she begins to notice what is around her. The beauty and calm of this place is beginning to show her another path. She breathes in this moment, in and out. Now Walter selects a different concoction, one designed not just to induce sleep, but to gently wean the mind from its addiction to ceaseless stimuli. This, he explains, handing her a bottle with a liquid that catches the light, is to help you disconnect, to remind your mind of the peace that comes from simply being. The businesswoman accepts the bottle, her expression one of skepticism mixed with a weary hope. Perhaps somewhere beneath the layers of cynicism and stress, she longs for the escape that Walter the Wizard offers. For a night free from the glow of her screen and the weight of her responsibilities. "Thank you," she says. And for the first time since she entered, her words carry a hint of genuine gratitude. As she leaves the shop, bottle in hand, there's a pause in her step, a momentary hesitation that suggests she might just be ready to rediscover the restorative power of sleep. As the little village settles into the deep silence of the night, rain still tapping against window panes, we turn our gaze to the homes of those whose lives have been touched by Walter in our story. The old woman, her loyal dog, now silent beside her bed, lies in a peaceful slumber. The elixir has worked its magic, and for the first time in many nights, both she and her companion rest deeply. In her dreams, she walks through sunlit fields, her steps light, her heart unburdened by the weariness of sleepless nights. Across the village, in a small attic room filled with canvases and paint, the young artist sleeps with a serene expression. The vial's contents have guided him to a wonderful place where his imagination soars without bounds. His dreams are vivid, and they are bringing a whole new element of life to his creative existence. Not far away, the businesswoman experiences a quiet unlike any she's known in recent memory. Her phone lies forgotten, its screen dark, as she journeys through a landscape of dreams, a landscape of peace. And above the little plant shop, in a room that smells faintly of earth and growth, Walter himself sleeps, surrounded by the gentle presence of his plants, his constant friends. He sleeps the contented sleep of one who has spent his days in the service of others. His dreams are simple, reflections of the quiet joy he finds in his daily and nightly communion with the natural world and all of his friends, the plants.